Hi, I'm John Nerrell, and welcome to the Mid-Career GPS podcast. If you're feeling stuck in your career and overwhelmed by what steps to take, I can help you. As an executive and career transition coach, I help my clients prepare, position, and promote who they are and what they do to show up and find a job they love or love the job they have. It's time to start building your mid-career GPS. So let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is episode 20. I can't believe it. Here we are at March 30th, and we're already putting the 20th episode into this podcast. And so thank you for everybody who's been following and supporting and just telling people more and more about the podcast. I am so grateful for that. But I put a note here down too, like my podcast is almost able to legally drink, right? Getting to 21 is such a big milestone for us in our lives for a variety of different reasons. And today, what we're going to talk about is being resilient in your career and where your ability to tap into your own personal and professional resilience is what is moving you forward in creating your mid-career GPS. All right, couple of things. It is the end of March. I am dealing with some spring allergies, so I apologize. I'm going to try to limit the coughing here and everything like that. I'm good, just dealing with spring allergies like I normally do. But a couple of things. One, if you are not in my private Facebook group, I want you to be. Go to facebook.com, check out your mid-career GPS. You are going to join a fantastic group of like-minded professionals just like you who are all trying to figure out what's next. We are having daily conversations around career and leadership development with lives and conversations and inspiration and motivation to help you get to whatever is next for you professionally. So again, facebook.com, your mid-career GPS. There's a few membership questions there I need you to answer, and then come on into the group. It'll be great to have you in there and join the conversation. The second thing is, if you go to my website at johnnerrell.com, I've got a great freebie and resource for you there. It is called the 55-Minute Career Transition Jumpstart. If you are struggling with figuring out all of the things that you need to do, I want you to give me 55 minutes. Download the guide and give me those 55 minutes. You are going to be amazed at what you can accomplish when you follow this guide to start getting some traction and momentum in your job search efforts or transitioning into whatever job or career is next for you. So johnnerrell.com, there's a big button right there on the homepage to download that Jumpstart guide. All right. Couple episodes ago, I shared with you my career walk in episode 18. And one of the things that I didn't necessarily mention in that episode was that to go from job to job and to make the jumps that I did, there was a lot of resilience that had to happen, because looking back on it, I can see how things progressed and moved forward, sometimes moved sideways, but still moved forward. But that wouldn't have happened had it not been for my resiliency and my capacity in terms of staying committed to the job search efforts every time that presented itself. Now, here we are at the end of the first quarter of 2021. There are still a large number of people who are unemployed. We are still dealing with a lot of food insecurities. We are certainly getting a lot more shots in the arm, and there looks like there could be a return to quote unquote normal or pre-pandemic days, maybe a little sooner than expected if we're all doing our part, but that is still to be determined. Maybe you will travel later on this year. But in all of those things, if you are currently unemployed, you are looking for work, or you are gainfully employed, but looking to create that next advancement opportunity for yourself, you may be thinking some of the following. You may be saying to yourself, this is difficult. It's a really hard time right now to find a job. You may say to yourself, I'm never going to find a job. You've sent X number of resumes out and haven't gotten a bite or an invitation to an initial interview. You may be thinking you are never going to get promoted, especially if you just came out of your performance appraisals and didn't get the results you had wanted or expected. You may be saying to yourself, I'm tired. I've put in all this effort and I've not gotten the results I've wanted. You may see family or friends or coworkers making these jumps and navigating through their GPS and making their results happen. And you might be saying to yourself or thinking, it's easier for everybody else. It's just not in the cards for me. Or maybe you are saying, I just can't catch a break. These are the things our brain tells us when we are struggling in whatever it is we are trying to do. You could take the examples I gave you and apply them to any area of your life. It could be about relationships. It could be about a sport. It could be about mastering a hobby. Whatever those things are, you could apply those same kind of thoughts. But when our brain starts telling us certain things, we need to take a pause and a check to see how really accurate and truthful those things are. Our brain loves to generalize. It loves to take certain data points and blow them up. Now, I have said before on this podcast, and we will continue to talk about this, that I am a firm believer that we have thoughts that create feelings that in turn create actions which produces a result. For example, if you're an active job seeker and you have sent out your resume and haven't gotten any responses, the thought might be, I'm not good enough, or what I'm doing isn't working. It's not until you attach a feeling to that now it starts getting real. So if you're saying to yourself, well, I'm not getting any hits on my resume, I'm not getting any invitations to an initial interview, that there must be something wrong in me, you might think, well, I'm just not good enough, or I'm not talented enough, or nobody is looking for what I have. And the action that may come from that is you retreating and backing off from your job search efforts, or saying, well, now's not the right time. I'll pick this all up in a month. And the result from that means you are never sharing your value and your genius with the world to see who wants it. And if you're not putting yourself out there, the last time I checked, the job fairy wasn't going to come and knock on your door and all of a sudden hand you a job. This is where being resilient is about digging so deep into what we have that we are not willing to give up until we get the results we want. I am blessed to have an opportunity to have worked and continue to work with a lot of people on their career transition and leadership development. And all of these thoughts that they have, they happen. They happen at some point. They've happened to them. They've happened to me plenty of times. But what we navigate through in this is we are either the victim, we are the fighter, we are the rationalizer, we are the caregiver, or we are the opportunist. These 5 particular characteristics are places or identities where we land at some point in our career transition, and we may ping pong across all of them. Victim. I'm just never going to find a job. Fighter. I'm going to do whatever I can for myself, for my family, that I'm going to find this next job. Rationalizer. I realize the market is tough, but I know there is somebody out there who really needs what I have. Caregiver. Caregivers are when we put everybody else first. Maybe you're thinking, well, now's just not the right time, but there's other people out there that need the job so they can go ahead and get it. And I've got a job, so I'm just going to stay where I'm at and it's okay. And I'll be unhappy for a little bit. And then I'll find something, right? Or the opportunist. If I put myself out there and I share my value with the world, there's an opportunity that's out there for an organization to hire me and for me to go work with them and for us to do some of the most amazing work we've ever done. Being resilient is about honoring and acknowledging all 5 of those identities or energy levels that guide us through this career transition and serve us at a particular point. When I was actively looking for a major job shift back in 2007 to 2010, I was also in the process of a major life move to move to Washington, D.C. to be with my now husband. And the reason why I was the one that moved was because his job was very solid, very stable. He loved what he was doing. He was living in DC. I was living in New Jersey. And I was willing to take the year to see if I could find a job, make something work, and leave my job, because I did have a safety net with my job per my contract, that I had been there long enough that I could take a year's leave and I could still come back to the job if things didn't work out. And not that I went into it with that mindset, but it's always nice to have that safety net, right? So in 2009, I had interviewed for a job with the District of Columbia Public Schools. I had interviewed for this job in February. I was told I was a go. We just needed the budget to come through, and that by June we would have an answer, and that would give me enough time to exit my job gracefully, get things taken care of over the summer, have a smooth transition in my roles and responsibilities, and I would be able to go to DCPS and start my new job. I had gone out to lunch with a colleague of mine, and as I was leaving the restaurant, my phone rang. And I looked at the phone and I knew it was going to be my boss. And I picked up the phone and I said, hello. And she said, John, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm just going to say it. The budget fell through. I can't offer you the job. And my heart sank, like it bottomed out in the pit of my stomach. And at that point, you think, as disappointed as you are, as upset as you are, it's about showing up gracefully to simply say, oh, thank you so much for letting me know. I appreciate you telling me. I'm sure this wasn't easy. I understand. And then there was a point in the conversation where she said to me, we have plans in place to go bigger next year. And I have every reason to believe the budget then is going to come through. And all I'm going to need you to do is reapply, and you're going to have the job. I thought, okay, all right. Now, we had been making plans for me to move to DC and trying to figure all of these things out. And, dating long distance is not impossible, but it's certainly not easy. But you find ways to make it work. And we had a conversation, which was, hey, so we go another year. We've already been doing it for over a year. We'll go for another year, see what happens. Right. And so we were being personally resilient in going after what we wanted, which was to make our relationship work. We were being professionally resilient to stay where we were, continue to do great work. But for me, to acknowledge that there was an opportunity that was there, but the timing wasn't right. And I just went into that next school year going, what do I get to learn? How does this make me a better leader? How do I get to grow in the job that I'm going to be doing while I'm in the job I already have? And when February of 2010 rolled around, I went and interviewed for that same job all over again. It was the same process. I had to do a 10-minute demo on a particular professional development topic. And when I went in for the interview, I looked at the three people who were on the hiring panel. And one of them was a gentleman who had interviewed me the year before. And at that point, I was even more proud of myself that I didn't dial it in and deliver the same presentation I had done a year ago. And at the end of that interview, at the end of that presentation, he looks at me and he goes, "You interviewed for this position last year, didn't you?" I said, "Yes." And he goes, "You did a different presentation and it was on this, correct?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I want you to know I really appreciate you didn't do the same presentation. Thank you." And shortly thereafter that interview, I was notified that I was hired, that I had the job. And so now the transition started in terms of me exiting my current position, selling my house, moving to Washington, D.C., starting a new life in my early 40s, and loved every single minute of it because this was the next chapter. This was my next advancement opportunity. But the resilience that I was able to lean on was because of what I have experienced in my own life and career, but recognizing that I wasn't willing to give up on this because this was so important to me. And going after something in where we are resilient, by its definition, is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or a toughness that you have and you demonstrate. So I had the setback about not getting the job. I was told I was going to wait another year. But to recover quickly in that moment and go, okay, where is the opportunity for me? It didn't happen instantaneously. But over the next couple of days, what I realized was that if this was really important to me, this was the mindset I needed to have. Resiliency is also about the ability of a substance or an object to spring back into shape, right? It's like that song by Chumbawamba, right? We get knocked down, we get up again. Okay. Those things are so vital. And you have experiences that have created resiliency in you. Whether it is a personal or a professional resilience, you know what being resilient looks like and feels like for you. You are a fighter. You are not willing to give up on that which is important to you. And those events that are created that have helped shape your resiliency, those are your stories. Those are your lessons. Those are the teachable moments that you share with people on your team, your direct reports, the people who you get to mentor each and every day. Those lessons have shaped you undeniably into the strong and empowered professional you are. Whatever it is that has created your resiliency, own that. Don't be ashamed of it. Stand in your truth about what has made you strong and envelop that into the stories you tell about what have you learned about yourself? Where are you going? Why is this important to you? Because here is the other thing. Resiliency, I believe, is like a muscle. We strengthen it because we are giving it that attention and focusing on that, or we choose to ignore it or put it on the back burner and let it weaken. Being resilient in your career is a day-to-day effort. You get feedback that wasn't ideal. You miss out on an opportunity. You're not selected for a certain project. Your raise isn't as much or it's nothing at all. Or maybe you didn't get that bonus. There are so many things that make up your resiliency. And when you are actively job searching or you are transitioning your career in some capacity, let's acknowledge that our resiliency is also different when we are a younger professional and a mid-career professional. You may have had a certain tenacity when you were younger. You probably also had a lot more energy. Like I can remember going on 4 hours of sleep a night pretty much during the week and functioning great during the day. You put me on 4 hours sleep right now and I'm taking a sick day because I can't do it. I just can't. I'm like a minimum 7, but 8's really good for me right now, but I try to get 7. The thing is, as a mid-career professional, you know where your limits are. When you're younger, you're figuring all those things out, right? You might have said when you were younger, I'm going to apply to 20 jobs in a given week or 25 jobs on a weekend. And you would go ahead and do that. And now you're like, oh, I don't know how the heck I can do that between work and the kids and family obligations. And I'm tired at the end of the day. And I'm not putting in a 40-hour week. It's more like a 50-hour week. And I think I could probably do 20, but realistically, maybe I can only do 5. Let's make them 5 really good jobs. Let's make them 5 targeted jobs that really speak to your skill set and your genius and your efforts. Because being resilient is also an acknowledgement of what you can do versus what you will do. Look, this job transition that you're going through, it's either happening or it's not. Like there really is no other option than those two. You make a choice right now as you're listening to me. Are you in firm belief that your career transition is happening or it's not? And whatever those reasons are, those are yours. The mindset that you choose to adopt here is critical to helping you create the results you're going to get. Look, I don't want to get all woo-woo on you here and kind of get down this whole path about like whether you believe in law of attraction or anything like that, because that's not what I'm talking about here. I don't want you to think like you can just sit in your bedroom or you can sit in your home and you can sit there and go, jobs are coming to me, right? No, you have to do some work around that, right? There is a lot of effort and hard work that happens. That's why there is resiliency here. But your mindset, your thoughts around where you are right now, I want you to get really clear about those. And I want you to start tapping into what are the feelings that you have around those thoughts, because that's what's going to create the actions and that's what's going to lead to you getting the results. I tell my clients all the time, it does not matter how many resumes or job postings or applications you submit for, because in the end, you only need one. You need one really good offer that appeals to you, that you are willing to say yes to. I don't care whether that happens for you on the first try or the 1000th try. You only need one. Are there things I can help you with to make you more strategically positioned? to help you better your chances of getting that initial interview and going from there? Yes, absolutely. I can help you with that. But I hear from people every single week where they will say to me, I've submitted 300 resumes and I haven't heard back from any one of them. Great. Are you ready to send out number 301? And if you're ready to send out number 301, are you willing to do something different to potentially get you a different result? And if you answer yes to that, then we're going to talk about what resiliency looks like for you, because you are not willing to give up on getting the desired results that you want. There is no quote unquote magic formula to help you get a job. You can apply online on the company's website. You can apply through LinkedIn. You can apply through Indeed or Monster. You can find a headhunter. You can work with a recruiter. You can network your butt off and talk to as many people and tell them about what it is that you do and see if they will move your resume a little forward for you within their company, or talk to their manager about why you'd be a great fit for a job. There are all of these things, plus so much more, that you could be doing. But sometimes you can get stuck in thinking, I'm only going to do this and this is what's going to pay off. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. You don't get extra base points or you don't get extra pay because you followed one channel for helping you get that job. I always tell my clients, I hope you get to choose after the interview. That after that interview is over, my wish for them is they get to choose. They get to choose whether or not that job is right for them. That essentially they are given the offer and they then get to decide. And I love it when clients of mine are entertaining multiple offers, which has happened. Then they're trying to figure out which is the right place for them to go. And they weigh out all of the pros and the cons and the benefits and the comp and the work-life balance and the work they get to do and all those kind of things. That's where your resiliency pays off. I cannot promise you that you are going to get a job. I can't. I'm not there with you when you're applying or not applying, or you're going for the interview. I'm not there with you in the trenches in that kind of way. Even with the clients I work with, they go to interview. I'm not in their ear. I'm not feeding them answers or information like that. We do a lot of prep work leading up to the interview, but ultimately they're the ones that go for the interview. And I tell them that up front. I can't guarantee you a job, but I can absolutely guarantee you that you're going to be more strategically positioned in your job search than you have ever been. And we're going to explore all of the attitudes and the strengths and the value and the logistics and the technical side of things in order to help you show up at your best. You show up because you're resilient. You show up because this matters. You show up because you recognize that you have so much to offer this world in terms of the work you are doing that you are not willing to give up yet, because there's still a lot of fight left in you. That is what being resilient in your career is. That is the opportunity in front of you right now to ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is absolutely fully committed, how committed are you to building this mid-career GPS for yourself so you can get the results you want? And give it a number. And if it is anything less than 10, ask yourself what one more point would look like for you. And if it's a 10, get really clear with yourself on, why is this a 10? Why is this so important to me? What am I not willing to give up right now because my career is too important to me and I have too much left to give? That is where your resiliency is. We covered a lot in this episode, and I always plan out my notes and think about what it is that I want to share with you. And sometimes we go off script a little bit and go down some notes, but still stick the landing. And I hope this was really helpful for you. All right. Make it a great rest of the day. Celebrate yourself for being resilient. Give yourself a pat on the back. You may want to go back and listen to this episode again, but do me a favor, share this with somebody you know who is maybe struggling a little bit in their career. Send them a link to this episode and be like, check this out. This one was pretty good. You need to listen to this one. I would really appreciate that. And don't forget, come on into the Facebook group. Love to have you in there, Your Mid-Career GPS. And don't forget to visit the website, johnnarroll.com, to download your free Jumpstart Guide. All right, make it a great day, everyone, celebrating your resilience. Make it a great day. If you enjoyed today's show and don't want to miss an episode, follow on Apple Podcasts or wherever you usually listen. And I'd appreciate it if you would leave a rating and review. Visit johnnarroll.com to download your free copy of the 55-minute Career Transition Jumpstart to help you start building your mid-career GPS. And don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn and follow me on social at John Narroll Coaching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.